Today, we are diving into a story where the world of online true crime sleuthing collides with real-world law, and the consequences are absolutely staggering. So let's just start with this number, $10 million. That's the amount a federal jury ordered a TikToker to pay a university professor for defamation. It's a figure that just makes you stop and think, how on earth did we get here? And this statement from Professor Rebecca Schofield, who's right at the center of this whole thing, it really just hits the nail on the head. This story is all about that blurry line between online chatter and actual real-world harm. So how exactly does a fight on social media spiral into a $10 million court verdict? Let's trace the events and see how this all went down. To understand this, we have to go back to a truly horrific real-life event that just captured the entire nation's attention. In November of 2022, 4 University of Idaho students were brutally murdered, and this created this whirlwind of media coverage and, you guessed it, a ton of online speculation. Let's just look at this timeline, because the speed here is pretty wild. The murders happen on November 13th. Just a couple of weeks later, a TikToker named Ashley Gilliard starts posting these videos with her theories. By December 21st, less than a month later, Professor Schofield has already filed a lawsuit. And get this, even after police arrest an actual suspect, the videos keep coming, which eventually leads to that massive verdict. You have to remember, in those first few weeks, law enforcement was pretty tight-lipped. There weren't a lot of official answers. And when you have an information vacuum like that, the internet just rushes in to fill the void. An entire army of so-called citizen sleuths popped up online, all with their own theories and, in some cases, all pointing fingers. And this is where things take a really sharp turn. One of these online sleuths, Ashley Gillard, she started getting a massive following. But not with evidence. Oh no, she built it on a shocking and totally baseless theory that she claimed came from her psychic abilities. I mean, just look at this side by side. On one hand, you have Gillard's claims, which she said came from reading tarot cards, that Professor Schofield was having an affair and ordered the murders. And then on the other side, well, you have the facts. Schofield had an airtight alibi. She was out of state. She'd never even met the victims. And she was never, ever a suspect in the police investigation. And we're not just talking about 1 or 2 videos here. She made an incredible 112 videos pushing these claims. And she kept posting them until August of 2025. That's long after the real suspect, Brian Kohberger, had been arrested and had pleaded guilty. And this quote from Professor Schofield, man, it just shows you the human cost. For her, this wasn't just some online drama. It was a completely terrifying experience where her own face, her own name, felt like it had been hijacked and twisted into this horrible public story that she had zero control over. Okay, so let's get into the legal fight. This is the part where the digital world smacks head-on into the real world with real consequences. So to really get what happened, we need to quickly understand the charge: defamation. Specifically, since it was all written online, it's a kind of defamation called libel. And at its core, it's pretty simple. It's when someone makes a false statement of fact that hurts someone else's reputation. So for Professor Schofield to win her case, her lawyers basically had to prove these 4 things. 1, a false statement was made. Check. 2, it was published, in this case, to millions on TikTok. Check. 3, it caused real harm. And 4, the person saying it was at fault, meaning they didn't take any reasonable care to check if it was true. Check and check. Okay, so you're probably wondering what I was wondering. If all this blew up on TikTok, why wasn't TikTok the one getting sued? It's a really important question. Well, the answer is a little piece of a law called Section 230. It's incredibly powerful. It basically says that online platforms are not legally responsible for what their users post. It's like they're the bulletin board, not the person who pinned the note to it. So all that legal responsibility falls right on the shoulders of the person who created the content. In this case, Ashley Gillard. So the case moves to trial. And here's a key detail. A judge had already ruled that Gilliard's statements were, legally speaking, defamatory. So this trial wasn't about guilt or innocence. It was just about deciding on the price tag, the damages. And the trial itself was, well, it was unconventional, to put it mildly. Gillard decided to represent herself. Her whole defense was basically that she truly believed what her tarot cards told her. And at one point, I am not making this up, she put herself on the witness stand and started asking herself questions and then answering them for the jury. It was bizarre. So when the jury handed down that $10 million verdict, It was actually broken into two parts. 2.5 million was for compensationary damages. That's to compensate for the actual pain, suffering, and losses. But the other 7.5 million, that was punitive damages. And that's exactly what it sounds like. It's meant to punish the behavior and send a loud, clear message to deter anyone else from doing something similar. And get this. The jury didn't need much time to think it over. They were out for less than 2 hours before they came back with a unanimous decision. When a jury moves that fast, and they're all in agreement, they are sending a very, very powerful signal. So, okay, a huge verdict, a wild trial. What's the big picture here? What does this mean for the rest of us who are just trying to navigate our lives online? You know, this quote from a retired detective really just nails it. Social media can feel like the Wild West, right? A place with no rules. But what this case shows is that even in the Wild West, there are laws, and they have real teeth. So when you boil it all down, the takeaways are pretty clear. First, this online sleuthing isn't a harmless game. It can cause devastating real-world damage. Second, freedom of speech is not a get-out-of-jail-free card to falsely accuse people of horrible crimes. Third, thanks to Section 230, the responsibility is on the user, not the platform. And finally, the courts are showing that they are more than willing to attach massive, multi-million-dollar price tags to online misinformation. And that really leaves us with this one giant, lingering question, doesn't it? In an age where basically everyone has the power of a global publisher in their pocket, how do we balance that search for truth with the profound responsibility to not destroy innocent lives in the process? That's the challenge we're all going to have to figure out.